All right. How you doing, everybody? Well, Daytona Bike Week's only 14 days away. Seattle Supercross is in the books. MotoGP and World Superbike testing is complete, and teams are now heading down under. CVN's geared up for live broadcast from Daytona Bike Week and the AIM Expo at Team MCC in Villa Park, Illinois this weekend, February 21st, so don't miss that. This is your weekly blast of everything fast. This is Exhaust Noise on CVN. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Kenny Abbott, the Rain Man, and this is 26 in 2026, where we run through 26 stories shaping the world of motorcycles and racing this week. Today's show is powered by our partners, Team MCC. Again, their event is coming up this Saturday, February the 21st at Team MCC. That's Motorcycle Center in Villa Park, Illinois. That'll start at 10 a.m. and run all the way through the afternoon. So make sure you join us there, where we're going to be doing some live shows. You want to get on the air with us, push a product, you name it. We're going to be there all day at Team MCC on Saturday. So this show is powered by Team MCC, AMSOIL, the Power Sports Store, Two Brothers Roundhouse, 2 AM Tacos, and of course, Moto America Live Plus, the official streaming home of all Moto America racing. Let's fire it up and jump into it, shall we? Our first segment is sponsored by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. We've already talked a little bit about it this year. All the magazines have already posted about it, but it's starting to get real now as Cam Bobier's Ducati accelerates after the Portugal test. His adaptation to that Warhorse HSBK Ducati took a major step forward in Portugal, where he logged some consistent laps, mixed conditions, and showed growing confidence with the Panigale's electronics and engine braking. They had that thing working really, really well. He was in the top 10 virtually the entire time on the Ducati. So it's a really strong sign heading to Daytona for Cam Beaubier and the Warhorse HSBK team. Sean Dillon Kelly and Jason Uribe also wrapped up their European testing program with the Orange Cat Racing BMW, adapting quickly to the M1000RR in cold, wet conditions and giving the team valuable traction control and chassis feedback before starting some of the U.S. testing begins. The Superbikes will not be featured at Daytona. So a lot of people have asked questions and posted comments. The Superbikes will not be at Daytona this year. If you didn't watch the podcast with Chris Simcoe and Pin the Gas podcast about our Daytona pre-show, go back. We talked about that a little bit. But Daytona Superbikes, Daytona Superbike was a class in the past. Superbikes will not be featured at Daytona this spring. It's only going to be the super sport bikes and a bunch of the other support classes. So Superbike testing will begin shortly as soon as they get all those machines back over here from Europe. However, the BPR racing team, that's Bryce Prince Racing, they confirmed a deep 5-rider roster across Superbike, Supersport, Stock 1000, and the Talent Cup, a multi-class structure that strengthens the middle of the Moto America paddock and gives rising riders a suitable stable for development. The PBR team will feature Josh Hayes on a BMW Superbike, Ben Galati and Jarrett Nassani on Yamaha R6s, who will be joined by Brendan Kettleston on the Yamaha R9 in Supersport. So those 3 riders will be in Supersport. Nassani, Galati, and Kettleson will all be in the Supersport class, with Max Toth on a Stock 1000 BMW and Owen Williams in the Talent Cup. Of course, Josh Herron's Supersport return is still Daytona's biggest storyline, where Josh Herron moved to the Ray Hall Ducati Moto team, and he's turned the Daytona 200 into a must-watch showdown. And so 3-time defending, he's actually a 4-time defending winner, but he's won 3 times in a row. So he's looking to make it a 4-peat. So this 3-time in the past 3 years winner and 4-time winner overall attempts to become the first rider in history to win it 4 straight years, his 5th in a row. I mean, Let me start again. To win it for his 5th time, being 4 in a row. And so this Daytona 200 looks to maybe have some history if he can do that. Again, he's won it 4 times already. He's won it 3 in a row. This year he can win it 4 times in a row for his 5th overall win. And that's short company. Only 2 other riders in the history of the race have done that. That is Miguel Duhamel on the Honda and Scott Russell, who did it on Kawasaki and Yamaha. So keep in mind that Rahal Ducati teammate PJ Jacobsen will bump up to the Superbike this year. So we probably won't see PJ Jacobsen in the Daytona 200 unless he's going to use one of the previous motorcycles in the 200. But PJ Jacobsen will focus on Superbike this year on the Ducati V4. Heron will be joining a really exciting lineup. PJ Jacobsen on the Superbike, and his young Supersport teammate will be Kayla Yakov. So Rahal has to be excited to get back to the track and see how it all shakes out. Nathan Gauker returns to the U.S. Talent Cup after his European campaign in Spain. He'll compete in the Moto America Talent Cup. So good for him. Again, seeing more Americans coming back from Europe, it should it should increase the level of everybody there in that class. Daytona 200 entry list is surging with a lot of international talent. Early Daytona 200 entries show a spike in overseas riders and new manufacturers, setting up one of the deepest fields in the past decades, as the Supersport points are awarded for the first time inside the Daytona 200 for Moto America Supersport class, all to go along with a $250,000 purse, with $50,000 going to the winner. So put your podium winners in the chat below. Who do you think is going to be on the podium? Who do you think is going to win it? Who's going to take home that $50K? In segment 2 today is going to be looking at our world stage, our MotoGP, World Superbike, BSB, ASBK, and Canadian Superbikes, all sponsored by the Power Sports Store, your Midwest Performance headquarters. As we all know, Bulega led the Portimao World Superbike test on the Ducati, as Ducati goes 1-2. Nicolo Bulega topping the charts with a 1:59.1, joined by his teammate Iker Lecuona as the only 2 riders under the 2-minute mark, reinforcing Ducati's early advantage heading to Phillip Island. Jake Dixon put the factory Honda 3rd at a 2:01, showing that Honda's winter development is paying off and giving the team optimism heading into the season's opener. MotoGP wrapped up their test in Sepang with Yamaha's V4 showing real potential, as the first ever Yamaha V4 prototype showed legitimate straight line gains at Sepang, with Jack Miller topping the test and Fabio Quartararo consistently inside the top 5, marking a major shift after so many years in with the inline 4-cylinder design. Toprak was the fastest MotoGP rookie at Sepang, posting a 59.647 in his first MotoGP test, immediately proving his belonging in the Premier class and giving Yamaha's V4 project a high-profile validation. Jorge Martin cleared for the next test after recovering from surgery after missing Sepang. So he was crucial. He missed some crucial opportunities to test already. He's got a couple more opportunities before the season gets going. So Jorge Martin cleared for the next test after recovering from that surgery. So this is the opportunity for him to finally catch up with the rest of the paddock in the 2026 MotoGP season before everything gets going. In BSB news, British Superbike confirms Carroll Nash Insurance as the new title sponsor of the series, ensuring financial stability and strong branding heading into the 2026 season. The Australian Superbike series prepares for Phillip Island with deep local grid, of course. Teams are finalizing setups for Phillip Island, where a mix of factory and privateer entries promises one of the most competitive Australian Superbike seasons in years. Canadian Superbike released their 2026 calendar with a good balanced mix of tracks. A few shakeups as they announced their typical schedule featuring their classic venues and technical circuits, giving riders a well-rounded season ahead of them. But they did add a classic old track, and I mentioned it in one of our previous shows. Do you remember which racetrack was added to the Canadian Superbike Championship? If you know it, put it in the chat below. We'll confirm it in the next couple weeks. But if you saw a previous episode where they're adding one of the old classics back to the Canadian Superbike calendar this year, put that in the chat. We're going to look at some club racing and vintage industry news, sponsored by Globetrotter Insurance Group. Coverage for riders, racers, and adventurers in the Midwest region. We insure your home, auto, RV, and even insure your street bike at track days. So send us a message and we'll get you more information on that. ARMA Vintage Racers open the season at Roebling Road Raceway this weekend. ARMA kicked off its 2026 season at Roebling Road with vintage superbikes, next generation, lightweights, and all their classic GP classes. The Roebling Road, obviously, it hasn't changed forever. It's a good flowing track, rewards corner speed, crazy lean angles down there. So the vintage bikes love it. And it's really good if you get your chassis dialed in. Actually, we're going to be there for the Moto America test just before Daytona on March 2nd and 3rd. Dunlop's going to be down there with all their new tires, so all the teams can start to get dialed in for Daytona. We'll bring you some results from ARMA as soon as we get those, and then we're going to do some exclusive interviews from Roebling Road Raceway during that Dunlop test from all the Moto America teams. We'll see who shows up down there. We don't have an entry list of who's going to be testing down there, but we're assuming that a bunch of the major teams that have already tested may or may not be there. A lot of the privateer teams, this will be a great opportunity for them just to be able to get some laps at sea level, because it's right outside Savannah, Georgia, and only a few hours, 3.5, 4 hours from Daytona Beach, but it's all at sea level, so it's a great opportunity to go testing. SNS Cycles announced a $31,500 King of the Baggers contingency program, reinforcing the King of the Baggers class may no longer be just a novelty. It's a serious championship with real money and real industry backing. Yamaha Racing Experience returns to Misano for 2026, giving Yamaha owners and invited riders direct access to coaching, engineers, and factory-level insight. Honda also revives 8 of their iconic models for 26-27, including the Africa Twin, the Trail 125, the Monkey, and the Montesa Coda, blending nostalgia with modern engineering. Yeah, some of those Honda bikes are so cool, bringing back some of the retro stuff, but they have a bunch of new bikes as well. So good for Honda for trying to mix it up a little bit. If you missed this story in our previous show, I wanted to highlight it again because women in Iran now legally allowed to obtain motorcycle licenses. A landmark legal change in Iran now allows women to obtain motorcycle licenses, opening the door for commuting, recreation, and future motorsport participation. This is great news for the motorcycle economy in that part of the world. Another previous story that I didn't want you to miss is that Arctic Circle Raceway expands to a dual-use winter training program. That's right. Norway's Arctic Circle Raceway continues to expand its winter riding and driving programs, giving racers a unique low-grip training environment unavailable anywhere else in the world, according to their release. And finally, our final segment, we're going to wrap up Supercross, sponsored by Two Brothers Roundhouse. Great food, great drinks, and great people. Eli Tomac wins the Seattle Supercross with late race charge. That's right. Eli Tomac took his third win of the season in Seattle, tripling into the rhythm section with a late attack to pass Cooper Webb, the defending champion, and pulled away to a 9-second victory, closing the championship lead to Hunter Lawrence, who's been second all year. And so Tomac now making a late race charge. Hunter Lawrence will retain the red plate by 1 point after the chaotic main event. He salvages a fourth place finish after a collision with Ken Roczen in the sand, in one of the most dramatic main events of the season. They both limited the damage because the night could have been much worse for both riders. Justin Cooper will score his first 450 Supercross podium in 2026 as he delivers his best ride of the season with a third place finish, capitalizing on the Roczen Lawrence incident and showing that he belongs in the front runner conversation. So Hunter Lawrence keeps the red plate by 1 point. Tomac moves back up to second in the championship, just 1 point behind Hunter Lawrence. Webb and Roczen are now tied for third, only 11 points back from Tomac. So the 450 event in Seattle went something like this. Eli Tomac on the KTM takes the win. Justin Cooper on the Yamaha, Cooper Webb on the Yamaha was second. Justin Cooper on the other Yamaha was third, with Hunter Lawrence on the Honda fourth. Chase Sexton on the Kawasaki was fifth, with Malcolm Stewart sixth. Aaron Plessinger was seventh. Joey Savatny was eighth. Darren Fernandez ninth, and Ken Roczen was 10th. Roczen all the way back to 10th. But again, remember, he crashed. He came all the way back to 10th, so it was an outstanding ride for him. So how does the championship shape up in the 450 class after round 6 in Seattle? Hunter Lawrence, as we mentioned, on the Honda will hold on to the championship lead by 1 point with 124 championship points. Eli Tomac on the KTM is second with 123. Ken Roczen and Cooper Webb on the Suzuki and Yamaha, they both have 113 points, 10 points back from Tomac for a tie for third, fourth position. Chase Sexton on the Kawasaki is fifth in points, with Justin Cooper on the Yamaha sixth. Jason Anderson is seventh. Joey Savatny is eighth. Dylan Fernandez ninth. And Jorge Prado on the other Red Bull KTM currently sits 10th in points. Let's look at the 250 class as Hayden Deegan on the Yamaha dominates again, but Levi Kitchen on the Kawasaki makes himself a championship contender here as well, as he pushes up to second place, and Max Anstey on the Honda gets on the podium. So Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda podium in the 250 class. Deegan controlled early. Kitchen was the only rider in the 49-second bracket, and Anstey completed the podium. Note that Deegan and Kitchens were the only two riders who ran lap times that were actually consistent with the 450 class all night on their 250s. It was insane. Deegan dominated with another statement win, extends his 250 West point lead with another composed, controlled win, his sixth straight podium, and one of the most complete rides of the season. Levi Kitchen closed late with the fastest lap of the night. He was the only 250 rider in the 49-second bracket, charging late to finish second and keeping Deegan honest in that title chase. RJ Hampshire ruled out with a foot injury, shaking up the 250 Supercross title fight, which removed a major contender from the 250 West class, forcing the remaining front runners to recalibrate their risk heading into Dallas. So the point standings after 6 rounds in the 250 Supercross class, Hayden Deegan on the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing machine sits atop the order at 143 points. Max Anstey on the Firepower Honda at 108 points. Michael Mosiman on the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing machine, he is tied with Ryder DeFrancisco on the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas. They both have 107. So Mosiman, DeFrancisco tied for third, fourth at 107 points. And rounding out the top 5, Levi Kitchen on the other Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. He has 101 points, only 6 points back from third place. So if Kitchen scores another great finish in Dallas, gets on the podium, he could surpass Mosiman and DeFrancisco to challenge Max Anstey for that second place, and maybe even close in a little bit closer to Hayden Deegan. But if Levi Kitchen stays on this pace, he could literally jump 3 more riders and be in second place coming out of Dallas. So let's watch for that. Watch every race, watch every class all season long, live or on demand with Moto America Live Plus. Get early bird pricing to watch the greatest Superbike championship in the world for only $89, $89.99 for the full season before the price goes up to the regular price of $109.99. So the Moto America Live Plus promotion is $90 if you get it right now during the early bird pricing. It will go up to $110 here in a couple weeks, so make sure you subscribe now. Subscribe at motoamerica.com and just click on that Live Plus button. That's a wrap for Exhaust Noise, week number 6, your weekly blast of everything fast. Follow and subscribe to Cycle Vision Network across all of your favorite platforms so you'll never miss an episode, live stream, or breaking news, because we're going to be dropping a lot of news once we get to Savannah as well as Daytona International Speedway coming up here in just a couple weeks. A massive thank you to our partners, Team MCC, AMSOIL, the Power Sports Store, Globetrotter Insurance Group, Two Brothers Roundhouse, 2AM Tacos, and Moto America Live Plus. We'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching Exhaust Noise on CVN. Gear up, head out, and ride safe, everybody.